got a great film to play next.
Hello? Have you ever snubbed a lady?
We had a technical problem.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on there.
Can I swear? Shit!
Welcome to Crunch and Roll. I'm John Fox, known to some as Foxy, did breakfast shows across the UK. More recently, a little bit of work for the BBC. Now listen, when we started Crunch and Roll, we wrote a list of people who would like to get on. And very near the top of that list was today's guest, Jo Russell. And I texted her and she blocked my number. Then I changed my number and tried again, but she was washing hair that night. And next time I got one of those I'll check my diary replies. And then absolutely nothing for some time. But finally, she relented and we've got her. And we're glad she did because her stories are brilliant. We hear about how she had a day job as well as being on the wireless at night very early on in her career, how cheeky Nottinghamians pretended to be her, and how she nearly became co-presenter on one of the UK's biggest breakfast shows. Before we start, just a quick reminder that if you do enjoy the podcast and you are a regular listener, we'd be grateful if you could support us on Ko-fi. So all you need to do is head to ko-fi.com/crunchandroll. And also, can I just say thank you to our latest supporters, Jamie London, thank you. Simon Clark, thank you. David Moses, top man. Stephen J, Stacey Harris, James Pykos, Matt Deegan, all of you legends, one and all. Thank you so much. Now, with strong language, you're going to love it. Let's crunch and roll. Oh, yeah. Jo, how are you?
I am very good, darling. How are you?
I'm really good. It's genuinely, it is. I've not seen you for so many years. It's lovely to see your beautiful face again.
Well, thank you for lying, but that's good. It is weird, isn't it? Because when you said, will you do this? I was trying to work out when I last saw you. And in my head, it was about a year ago. That's why and it's not. How many years will it be now? 7?
I would say it's 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
I know, but in my head, I'm only 27 anyway, so... Geez, God knows.
And that's how you look.
Thank you.
So, I mean, you say that the first thing you thought was when was the last time that you saw me? I think the first thing you thought of was, should I do this? Because you were a little bit hesitant to be on here, weren't you?
Yeah, I was for many reasons. Firstly, I still work in radios and I still would like to. So it made me go, oh God, what the hell can I say? And what's he going to ask me? Because, you know, there might be some awkward questions, but here we are and I'm prepared to do it. And secondly, I was like, God, what does anybody want to hear from me? Like, genuinely, like, are you absolutely sure? I don't know what I've got to tell you. So if this episode is like 10 minutes long, I'll go, yeah, well, that's how interesting I was.
Can I just say that that's what every guest says?
Is
Everybody.
it?
Yeah, it genuinely is. Everybody always goes, well, why do you want to speak to me? I'm not that interesting. But I think we've all got a story to tell, haven't we?
I think so, but I think because I still do it, and I speak for 4 hours a day about, you know, my life and crap. It's just like, oh God, what else is there to say? Like, I do it all the time. I do it so often that I'm sick of my own voice. So it makes me go, I don't know what else there is to say. I don't know, but we'll find out over the next half an hour, I suppose.
Or 10 minutes, let's see.
Or
let's
10
see
minutes, yeah. If it was 10 minutes, Foxy, would you just put it out and go, yeah, that was all we could get out of her? It was just the 10. Oh, God.
Right, I mean, we say every single episode, our research is always lacking, so please correct me if any of these are incorrect. Mm-hmm. Is it true that you were born in London?
Yeah, I was born in Ealing.
Didn't know that.
London way, yeah, but I was only there, like I was still in nappies when we moved, I think. So I was born in Ealing. That's what's on my birth certificate, should you be interested in forging. That's what's on there. And then I moved to Bradford, with mum and dad, and then when they split up, we moved to York eventually, right. Which is where I think we moved there when I was about 10 to York, and that's essentially where I grew up and fled the nest. My family are still in York, so yeah, and I've been around with radio, so I feel like I've been all over the place, but my heart is in York, but there is a small part of it in London. It's still there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is it true that you worked for Coca-Cola at the beginning of your career?
Yeah. Coca-Cola Schweppes Beverages Limited. How may I help you? I've still got it.
You haven't lost it,
Yeah,
John.
I know. I could do it now. I think that was in Uxbridge. I think their head office was in Uxbridge, but it was just a temp job. So I moved to London when I was about 17, I think, 18, to try and find fame and fortune. And got a job as a temp at Coca-Cola just on the switchboard. So there were 6 of us. And it was a good switchboard because it was one of those where you could just lose people if you didn't know what to do with them. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to put you through. And then you might never get them again. So, yeah, it was fun, but it was not a career for me.
Next fact that we found, and I think this one is true, having been a friend of yours, it says online that your net worth is $5 million.
Jesus Christ. It does not say that.
I swear it does, Joe.
On what? Where does it say that?
I will send you the link. It says that you've got a net worth of $5 million. Joe Russell, is that true?
That is, I'm so excited that anybody would think I was capable of earning that. I was just saying to you before we started recording, we've just downsized. We live opposite a pub and near a Chinese takeaway. If I was worth $5 million, let me tell you right now, I would not have just downsized my house. It is not true.
Here's a question for you. If you were worth $5 million, would you still be getting up to do a breakfast show?
Ish, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I've been doing it so long that I just think if I was worth $5 million, the stress of I've got to pay my mortgage, please let me have a contract, that stress would go. And so I think I'd still want to do it, but it would just be a real different prospect because I feel like now I've got to pay bills, I've got to pay a mortgage. And so there is a real, oh my God, what happens when I'm too old? What am I going to do next? All of that is constantly in the back of my mind. $5 million? Yeah, I'm going to go on. Might even swear because it doesn't matter. So yeah, I think the stress would be a lot less, yeah. But I think I would still, I do love it still.
Do you still love it?
Yeah, I do. I really do still love it. It's hard at times and it's getting harder because I've done breakfast hours for so long and done a breakfast show. It gets harder each year because what are we going to do at Christmas this year that I've not done for the last 27 years or whatever it is? And so it is harder. It is getting harder. And I'm getting older and the brand I work on at Gem is younger. And so keeping up with all of that is hard, but I still have a good time. I still have a proper laugh.
Good.
So yeah, whilst that is still the case, yeah, I still want to do it.
All right, so let's go right back to the start. You moved to York, and you went to York Hospital Radio. So you, like many of us, you started at Hospital Radio in York.
Yes, I did. I just knew. I knew when I was at school that this is what I wanted to do.
Really?
There was just no question in my mind that I was going to do it. I think I wrote to Radio 1 when I was 14 going, hello, never done this before, but I absolutely can. So why aren't you employing me? I was that ballsy. I was that person. And I just knew I could do it. I just really believed from 13, 14 years old. And then I didn't get into radio. I had 10 years of rejection letters telling me, no, you got no experience. Why didn't you get some experience? Because you won't give me any experience. Yeah. That is why. But yeah, I did it eventually. It took a long time, but I was not going to give up. I really knew I wasn't going to give up. So hospital radio did it for me, which is still, I believe, a really good way of learning what type of presenter you want to be, if that makes sense. Because
no, absolutely.
I feel like when you start, you do try and mimic your favourite presenters.
Who did you try and mimic?
Well, for me, it was like Jackie Brambles and people like that. And on Viking Radio, there was a woman, I don't know if she still does it, Diana Luke was on evenings. I'm older than you, Foxy, so you may not have heard of these people. So I remember writing down phrases that these people used to say and going, I'm going to fit that into my broadcast too. And then thinking that was the absolute way to do it. So yeah, it takes a while to go, oh no, you can just become your own presenter and just do you. But that takes a while. And, doing live shows on hospital radio was invaluable, like really invaluable.
So your first professional gig is in Harrogate, so posh, so Joe Russell.
Thank you.
At Stray FM doing weekends. Yes. How did you get the gig?
Some of the guys at York Hospital Radio were part of the Stray FM massive, I don't know what you call them, the people that made Stray FM or founded it or whatever. And so they just gave me a chance. I used to get £5.
Wow.
£5, yeah. So they'd essentially pay for petrol. And I just did a one weekend show. The first show I did, I turned up, and of course I'd never done a professional show before. And it was like a Sunday afternoon, I think. And when I got there, one of the guys said to me, just to let you know, you're doing the album chart. I went, okay, great. And they handed me a box of CDs and said, so that's your top 20? And I said, okay, what about the rest of the playlist? Oh, have you not bought your own CDs? Think of that now, Jesus. So it was a real shit. I've got to do a show, and I actually don't know what I'm doing. And I've been asked why I haven't brought my own CDs. So that was absolutely not the way to do radio, by the way. But yeah, I eventually found my feet, and I really did enjoy doing that. Sunday afternoon was a nice time to be on, and the listeners it was just one of those things where I got a real load of interaction, bit of a lazy Sunday afternoon type show. And yeah, I loved it. I didn't love just getting £5, but I did love doing it.
It added to that $5 million.
Sure. I'm just going to look under the sofa and all sorts of shit now for money.
So, I mean, were you any good when you were on Stray?
My mum thought so.
That's enough.
I think that is enough, innit? I don't even know if I was any good. I think I always backed myself, and I always had faith that whilst I wasn't totally sure I would ever get a full-time job at Stray, that I just could do it. And the problem, I think, for me there was that I was just like a Sunday afternoon presenter, so you just don't get any attention or any training, really. Well, as you've heard, here's some albums for an album chart that we never told you were going to do. Why don't you do that? So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the place where I learned how to do it properly, I wouldn't say. So I don't know if I was any good. I had a good time. I was thrilled for the bloody experience and the chance for definite.
So the next move, you go to Minster FM in York to do overnights to start?
Yeah, I did overnights, and there was a real shift there because they didn't give me a contract, so I was just doing overnights. So I also, this is one of my favourite stories, by the way, because it just makes me sound like the hardest working person ever. So I'd do overnights at Minster. I would go home, have a shower, and then go and work at General Accident Insurance Company all day, and then go home, sleep to midnight or whatever it was, get up and do. I did that for a year, like where I was doing both of those shifts because they didn't give me a contract. So I was like, oh well, I'll just do both then. I'll do it all. I'm good. I can do all this.
So when did you sleep?
Yeah, kind of. Well, it was flexi time at General Accident, so I could finish at 4 and go home and just like sleep till like 11 or I can't remember what time my shift was. But yeah, I just slept then and then got up and did it all again. I know it seems crazy now, especially at my age. I'm like, please just let me have some sleep. Yeah, but I did it.
You had to go that extra mile at that time, though, didn't you? We all had to do the extra.
Yeah, I think I did, and that's why I'm really pissy when people nowadays don't want it. Oh, I'm not doing that. Oh well, piss off then. I've done it. I feel a bit like that, like an old mad auntie to young people. I'm like, well, I worked 2 full-time shifts, and so can you. But yeah, I did. I liked it. I liked doing overnights, but I came off it because I think I filled in for a guy. I can't remember his name. I filled in for a guy doing early breakfast, and then I stopped on and did a bit of travel news on the breakfast show. And they were looking for a regular travel presenter, and I did not get that. But I thought I'll just hang around. I'll do early breakfast. I started doing early breakfast for a while, And then I went on holiday and this guy covered for me. And afterwards I said to him, oh, just for a laugh, when we were pissed at a barbecue, I went, oh, thank God you weren't that good. Otherwise you'd have nicked my job. And anyway, the day after, I was told I was back on overnight because he'd nicked my job.
No.
And I'd made a freaking gag about that round a bloody barbecue, thinking I was funny. And he just looked at me. I can't remember his name. I wish I could. But yeah, that was a bit soul destroying. So I felt like, oh, I've got to leave. Got to leave this place. So yeah, I just kept applying everywhere. I was applying everywhere all the time because, you know, you need a contract, don't you? You want to do it properly.
So after Minster FM and selling insurance during the day, incredible. I didn't realise this. So you go to Ram FM in Derby, and then you immediately go on breakfast with Twiggy.
No, I was with Ian Sky for a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was Sky and Russell, as the show was called. We did that for a year.
Did not know that.
And Twiggy was our events manager at the radio station, and he used to just do some OBs for us. And we just clicked, Twiggy and I, right from the start. We were proper good pals and it sounded good on air. So eventually when Ian left, they put Twiggy and I on together. So we were, it was about a year in, I think. I think I did a year with Ian Sky. And then Twiggy came along and off we went, frankly. It was amazing.
So did you two, as you said there, you just hit it off straight away with Twiggy? Yeah,
it's just, and we're still really good friends. We still see each other a lot, and I'm glad because we shared. I think we did 13 years together on air, but during the good times of my career, like during the we've got all this budget for you times. So we had a really, really good time, and we really enjoyed it. And you can't fake chemistry. I really believe that. I think you can just tell if people don't like each other or don't genuinely click. And we just did. And it was easy because of that. It was just so easy. I mean, you know, there were times when we wanted to twat each other over the head, I'm sure. But, you know, but we genuinely, every time that we were tired and aggy with each other, we could always just go for a drink and be fine, like within half an hour. You know, we were good pals. I mean, I'm godmother to one of his kids and that. We were proper close.
So why do you think it worked so well? Because am I right in saying that you're both different characters, or am I wrong in saying that?
I mean, we probably got closer in character as we've got older, but I was, he was married and I was single. And so we had different upbringings. He grew up on a farm and then became a builder, and he didn't really get into radio till he was older. I mean, he's 100 now, so so he was older than me. So it was, we have the same sense of humour, which I think is important because you've got to make each other laugh. Yeah. So and that's where you get the chemistry from, I think. But we definitely had different lifestyles at the time. I was out clubbing constantly, and you know, we just brought different things to the table. So I think now, as we've got older, we're definitely closer in character for sure.
So, I mean, you start the breakfast show together with Twiggy on Ram FM, but then, of course, in 1998, you go to Trent FM, which that was a beast of a show, wasn't it?
It was a beast, and it was like promotion for us, because the great thing that we found at Ram FM, which I don't even think you get nowadays, is we were part of a big group, but a really small station, so they left us alone. They didn't give a shit about us. They barely knew our names. And so we could try all sorts of stuff. We could just get away with doing stuff, and we were on nobody's radar at all. And that is what made it work. And eventually there was a real turnaround of, oh, well, why can't people, I don't know, in wherever it was, Essex, do what Joe and Twiggy are doing, and why can't blah, blah, blah. We had a real turnaround, but it was because we were left alone, because we had no interference when we were at Ram FM, because they just didn't deem it as a very important radio station. And certainly in the East Midlands, it was really inferior radio station to Trent. Trent was the biggie, and everybody wanted to be on Trent FM. So yeah, we were a bit gobsmacked when we were asked to do it. To be honest, we couldn't really get our heads around why. But yeah, we were there for 10 years at Trent.
So, I mean, you won awards, which we can get onto in a bit. But I mean, who was your boss who brought you into Trent?
Dick Stone did. So we were, right. Dick Stone was our boss initially at RAM, and then he got the job at Trent, and then we had Rob Wagstaff. So we had him for a couple of years, who is like just one of the best coaches ever. He's when you're at that stage of your career, which was like really early for me, because I'd never had a coaching session at Minster and Stray. So we were getting coaching sessions every single day from Rob Wagstaff. And then, yeah, Dick poached us.
What was it like?
Odd phrase to say.
Yeah, it is an odd phrase. Let's not crack that joke too many times, because he's coming up in the next couple of weeks. All right, so.
Well, good luck with Dick.
So I want to talk about, because I remember at Trent you had a really, and you might disagree, but I'm sure you won't. Didn't you had a really talented producer when you were on Breakfast, yourself and Twiggy? Who was that?
Yeah, it was Mark Hitchings. We called him Brains.
Brains, yes.
Yeah, it was Brains. And I think we took a year or so to find the right producer. It took us ages to find the right one. And I don't think he'd done much before he came to Trent. And it took us a long time to click as a three.
Right.
And we really stuck it out, because we really hoped it would work. And he was a kid. I don't even know how old he was when he came to us. Maybe even like 19, 20. He was a kid, and he was moving away from his family home for the first time, and all of this stuff. So it just took a while. It took a while for us to get there, I think. But yeah, when the three of us clicked, it was quite something. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Can you remember some of the things that you did on air, be it features or, the story arcs? I mean, I just want to hear about some of the things that made that show so successful over the 10 years.
I mean, I think it was a lot easier than it is certainly for us now, because we're a regional radio station where we are now. And when we were at Trent, we were Nottingham focused. So everything was Nottingham. So if there was any campaign for Nottingham, we would get behind it and we would do it. And I remember a biggie for us was there were some roadworks in the city that everyone was really pissed off about. And the council didn't know what to do, because they were going to be there for like ever. And it was just not funny. And so we decided we would speak to the council and get a better route through the city, which we managed to do, and they let us call it the Joe and Twiggy diversion.
Amazing.
And so they put up all the signs, like the proper road signs, and it just calmed the city down almost. It was like, oh, well, that's fine, because we're going to go through the Joe and Twiggy diversion, and all these signs are up. Still, everyone was fucking stuck in traffic, but it just worked on all levels. And it was that sort of thing where you can just get behind a local community, which I hope doesn't sound too twee and shit, but it was that sort of thing that really, really made it work, for sure.
Do you know, it was interesting. So one of our previous guests was Andy Bush, of course, before he went to Absolute, was with Bush and Troy, the double act. Myself and Tom were at 210, you were at Trent, at the same with GCAP, obviously. And I was saying to Bush that because I was working with another guy, that all the managers used to say, well, what you two need to do is sound like Bush and Troy. And I also talked about the fact that if you were in a male and a female act, that everyone used to say, you need to sound like Joe and Twiggy. Did that piss you off?
No, I think I found it flattering. Right. Because I just never had that sort of, it felt a bit like, oh, we're doing something right. This is good. Maybe you should pay us a bit more. So it did feel, it felt quite nice, really. And when we used to go to boot camps, people have always been super nice to us. We really got on fabulously with people. I remember when Notting Hill, the movie, came out, we did a spoof ad like the Notting Hill trailer, but for Nottingham. So it was Nottingham instead of Notting Hill.
Yeah.
And I remember people saying to us at a boot camp, you know that we were told to do something like that. That's what you've got to be doing. That's what Joe and Twiggy do. But they didn't freaking live in Nottingham. So like everyone was going, well, how can we do this? How on earth can we do it? And people had, like the bosses had gone to people saying, you need to do a Notting Hill trailer. And it was like, no, that's not the point. So I think other people might have been a bit more pissy about that than we were. I think we were genuinely quite flattered by it.
Well, I openly admitted to Bush that it really used to piss me off. But it did. So I said to him, and this, everyone who listens to Crunch and Roll will have heard this, a few episodes back. But I didn't want to be Bush and Troy. I wanted to be me. And you're right. I mean, unless Cottingham FM, do the same
exactly.
Who else is going to do that trailer and it make any sense?
It is weird though as well, because even if it's like a male female, you've got to be, you're still different people to us or to Bush and Troy. Yeah. Like you still got to do your own thing. And that's when you question bosses. And
as you said at the start, you want to keep your job. So let's move on.
Sure, and I loved all my bosses, all of them.
I know that's not true.
Is this going out or is it just in our headphones?
The hamster's fine.
It was a technical problem. You heard something on air you shouldn't have done.
Oh, yeah.
So when you first moved to Trent, who were the owners of Trent at that time?
Was it GWR probably? Was it GWR maybe?
Would have been. Yeah. And then, of course, I mean, I moved to 210 when it was GWR, and then I went through the GCAP thing just like yourself. I mean, how was the GCAP move for you?
I think it was okay. I don't remember it being bad because I think we'd already established ourselves with the bosses, I think we'd already established ourselves in the company, and we were really on at Steve Orchard. Well, now we're in a London radio station, so maybe we should be there, and we never did. He never let us. But I think it just gave us more opportunity, and that was another time because of GCAP. Johnny Vaughan was on Capital, who's one of my all-time radio idols. And I was like to Steve, well, if you won't take me and Twiggy, I'll just have to go and do it with Johnny Vaughan. And really was like balls. He was like, well, I'm the right person for that job. It's me. But never got that opportunity. Wish I had, but didn't. It just gave you the thought that maybe one day you could. I don't know. I don't remember thinking it was a bad thing. We were just treated very well at Trent, and Steve Orchard was still in charge, and Dirk, Anthony, and all of those people that we'd been around for many years were still our bosses. And so because we were already, great friends with them and they'd done as well, I don't think we thought it was going to put us out at all. And yeah, we did okay with them.
I'm sticking to Trent because, I mean, it was such a huge part of your life. Am I right in thinking, would that have been the highlight of your career? I know what you're going to say. Well, no, Gem's great, and I get that, but
it's all been different. So, I mean, it was the glory days, and for me, like nobody can take that away. But it was the glory days for a reason. That we had one marketing team focused on our show. We had a great lineup after us. All day they were saying, "Listen to Breakfast tomorrow. They've got this big money to give away." We had a marketing budget to die for. We were going to American boot camps every year for training. Like they would pay for that. It was the glory days, and it worked. And millions of pounds were put into that radio station. Like the advertising was through the roof, and it all came together at the right time when companies were buying advertising. We were having the time of our lives. We had a huge team. I mean, it's stupid to think about nowadays. We used to have, every single time we were on air, Twiggy and I would have 2 or 3 promotional Jeeps, the Black Thunders, out every day. Even if there was nothing for them to do, they would drive around. So we had a presence in Nottingham. And weirdly, Foxy, shit, that worked. So, all of that stuff, all of that marketing, all of that help, it absolutely, it worked. And so it was the glory days of my career by a country mile. So yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I'm not dissing what I've got now, and I'm having a great time, a really, really good time. Like I said at the beginning, I still love doing this. And I wish we had the same budget.
Yeah. No,
And then
I
maybe
hear you.
those glory days can come back. I don't know.
Do you know the other thing as well? Of course, I mean, I know that now you're in a wonderful relationship with a man who looks like a fighter pilot, and you know he's a very
Sure.
lovely man. But whilst you were single on Trent FM, let's be honest, you and Twiggy were famous in the city of Nottingham. I mean, did you have a great time? I mean, you mentioned being out clubbing all the time.
Yeah, my record, because, well, I've already told you, absolute grafter who needs sleep. My record of doing a breakfast show was 16 nights out on the trot whilst doing breakfast. Woo! So, yeah, I had a good time. I had a really good time. It was tricky, I think, because we were crazy well known. And certainly back when we were doing it, there was no social media, right? Yeah. So people knew if I laughed in a pub, people would go, oh, I recognise that laugh. So that's what I would get. I recognise that laugh. Or if they'd seen us like in the local newspaper or whatever. But people did not know what we looked like necessarily. And so I had constantly a stream of, oh, you're not Joe. Oh, yes, I am. Hello. No, you're not Joe. And I would go, yeah, I am. And they'd say, well, who was that girl that I was chatting up who said she was Joe? And I would have a lot of freaking rumours about me, Foxy.
Oh, really?
Not true. Yeah. We had once I got some flowers, right, sent to the radio station, bunch of flowers from a guy called Craig. Remember it as if it was yesterday. And he said, lovely to meet you. Thanks for last night. Didn't give you my number. Right, so on the card for these flowers was a number. Well, of course, we rang him on air. We're not stupid. So we ring him on air and he goes, oh, it was so good, wasn't it? It was so lovely to meet you. And I said, I've got something to tell you. It wasn't me. And he was like, yes, it was. You said blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, it wasn't me. Now, luckily, Twiggy and I had been working at Notts County Football Club the night before, so I did have an alibi. Yeah. And we had to just say to him, I'm sorry, darling, it absolutely wasn't me. And yeah, that was a bit gutting for him, but I had some lovely flowers, so it's fine. But things like that would happen all the time. Like we'd have, I remember a nightclub owner coming for a meeting, like a sales meeting, and they introduced me to him, and he said, he was another, you're not Joe. And I was like, yes, I am. And he said, well, who's the girl that comes into my club every week and gets in for free and has a free table with free drinks? And I was like, oh, I don't know, but it ain't me. That used to upset me a bit because I was just like, oh, fuck, I don't want people to think I'm going into clubs demanding all sorts of shit. I mean, I'll take it, by the way, if it was offering, but not, I don't demand. So yeah, I mean, it was tricky, but that was also a little bit of my downfall. Towards the end of Twiggy and I was sick of that level of, I can't even go to Tesco without somebody going,
really?
Oh, I thought you were on a diet. What are you buying that for? And all that. Like it did get to me in the end. I always think like I want to be hugely successful in radio. But I'm also intensely private, which is stupid because of the job that I do. It's important to me to keep something back and just have something for me. Whereas Twiggy wants to be recognised all the time. He still does. He still is. He loved that side of it. It was a real big thing for him. You know, if he went to the local butchers and they repeated a gag that he'd done on the show, it would be the best day of his life. Whereas I would be like, never fucking going in that butcher's again. So yeah, we were really quite different in that, and it got intense. Like it was stupidly intense. And I don't think it would matter to me much now because I'm a bit older. But yeah, it did used to get to me a bit.
So Joe, I mentioned briefly before that, of course, yourself and Twiggy, you ended up walking away with a lot of awards, of course, Sony's as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it felt at one point that you two just kept winning every year. There's little point anybody else entering. Did that feel the same for you?
Yeah, thanks. Great time. Yeah, we had a really good time. We didn't get gold, you know. People think we got a load of Sony golds and we never did. But what we did, which to this day say is better is we got silver to legends. So we just felt we were in really hard categories, entertainment award. So you're up against Chris Evans and Moyles and Terry Wogan and all of those legends. And we got silver. So we were in that pack. And so for me, it was much better to be second to Wogan. I mean, if you'd have told 14-year-old me that you'd be second to Wogan in an award ceremony, good God, I'd never turn that down. And we were just, I think because we were always the underdogs. So when the Sony Award nominations were announced, it was people like Ricky Gervais was in an entertainment category with us at one stage. And I've got a story about that in a tick. I'll tell you in a second. But when you're in categories like that, and then it's just, and these people no one's ever heard of, Joe and Twiggy, we became the underdogs, but in a super sweet way. It made the industry so kind to us. Like Steve Wright mentioned us on Radio 2. It's got to be their year. He would say, it's got to be Joe and Twiggy's year. We're all rooting for you. And it wasn't. We never got a gold. And people like that who was the guy? Mark and Lard did, who's the Mark? Mark Radcliffe was doing a Sony show, like a radio show. And he would want us to be on it. Like, all the stars that were there, all the big players in radio. And he'd go, no, I want Joe and Twiggy. And like, we were always pissed on that freaking show every year because we always treated it like this might be the last time we're here, and so we've got to make the most of it. And I believe that it was such a fun time for us, to be sat on a table next to Terry Wogan. It's just bonkers. Twiggy had a piss next to Chris Moyles. That was lovely, and he'd been slating us on his radio show.
I was going to bring that up. I remember him slating you. Yeah,
he did. He slated us. He said something like, "I'm going to kill myself if Joe and Twiggy beat me to this award." And Twiggy's, at the urinals with him and said, "Oh, all right, I'm the one that you're going to kill." And so, it was just super sweet. It was really not. People were lovely, apart from Moyles, God love him. People were lovely to us. Like the industry were lovely to us because we just became the sweet underdogs, and we were grateful. Like we didn't go to those awards expecting anything. We went absolutely hopeful, but absolutely determined to have the best night ever. I mean, we would cry when we won a silver. It meant that much to us. We just appreciated it and enjoyed it and got freaking trashed. We really drank a lot.
We obviously want to hear the Ricky Gervais story. So
about 3 weeks after I was in the same category as Ricky Gervais, the entertainment category at the Sonys, I turned on his radio show. I guess he was XFM maybe at the time. I just turned it on one Saturday morning and he was talking about me. And I get goosebumps even saying that out loud now. Like, that's bonkers. He was talking about these awards he'd been at and he'd gone round vox popping other celebrities saying, what do you think about the fact that Joe and Twiggy have beaten me to an award? Like, I don't know who maybe Moyles got gold, we got silver. And he probably, I don't even know if he got bronze. I don't know. But he'd gone round, like real tongue in cheek, he was being really sweet about us. But the fact that, fine hell, I turned the radio on and literally he was talking about this ceremony and then went into this fun vox pop of trying to get other celebrities to slag off the fact that Twiggy and I, who he'd never heard of, had beaten him to an award, blows my mind to this day. Like, I've got goosebumpy thinking about that. What a thing. Like, and we've interviewed him a couple of times. He's the most generous. Like, he laughs at your jokes. He's not there just for you to laugh at him. He's a real generous talker, if that makes sense, if that's a sentence. But yeah, God, I loved it. I loved those days. Loved it.
And look, aside from the Sonys, you got the Radio Academy Local Regional Lifetime Achievement Award in 2014, and you're a Sony Awards judge?
Yes. Yeah. I was a Sony Awards judge. I've done a couple of categories. And again, that's bonkers because I had to go to Radio 2 to do one, There's there's usually about 5 judges on each panel, and then you have the head judge, the Simon Cowell of the judging panel. And my head judge one year was Bob Shannon from Radio 2. So we had to go to Radio 2 and sit in his office. And there's me and him and Mark Goodyear. And I'm like, hello. Don't speak. Obviously, I went for it. It's really fun, depending what category you get. Because if you get a category where there's 40 entries and each entry is an hour, that is some hardcore stuff. So it's really time consuming. And the thing is, I remember Clive Dickens being my head judge one year. I rang him up and I said, Clive, do we have to listen to every single minute of every entry? Because it's driving me insane. Because there's so many people want to enter, and that's brilliant. But when they're all an hour long, oh my God, it can be a bit soul destroying. And he said, yes, Joe, everybody needs a fair chance. Yes, Joe. And I was like, okay, that's what we'll do then. But yeah, it was real good fun. It's good. Nicked a few ideas. All great.
We're having a party.
Oh yeah.
Let's move on to the next move then. So Absolute in 2008 to do weekend mornings. I fully appreciate that this is a huge move for you. But I'm just interested, how did you just say to Twiggy, that's it, I'm sorry, I'm leaving? Or how did that all happen?
I always wanted to try London. And Twiggy and I tried together because we used to get really pissy with Steve Orchard, who was head of our group at the time. Yeah. And we'd go, well, you keep telling us we're the best, but you won't fucking put us on Capital, will you? And we were, and they just didn't think we'd work in London, which is, of course, in retrospect, absolutely fine. But I just always wanted it. Ever since I was that 14-year-old girl saying I want to do Radio 1, I just always wanted London. I wanted to try it. So I had it written into my contract that if I got a job at a London radio station, I could leave.
Wow.
And you know what? I actually think that they put that in there because they never fucking thought I would.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Genuinely, I think they were like, oh, well, she ain't going to do that. And because it took me a while. And so Twiggy was always aware. And if ever I went for a chat or an interview, I told him. So it wasn't a surprise. I think it was a bit gutting, but it wasn't a surprise. I made sure that he knew that that's what I wanted to do. And yeah, I just wanted my chance. I fucking loved it.
So how did that? So a phone call or an email?
Yeah, I must have been. I can't quite remember, but I must have been sending demos. And yeah, Clive Dickens called me for a chat. Have you ever met Clive Dickens?
Not yet.
Oh my God, he's crazy good. He's crazy good. He called me for a chat, and then he said, "Will you come down and do a demo with Christian O'Connell?" And I did that again after a hardcore week. One day, I'm in Nottingham. I'm driving to the O2 in London to see Michael Bublé. I drive back to do a breakfast show, 2 hours sleep, and then I'm on the train to do a demo with Christian O'Connell the day after. It was proper hardcore. And I did this demo because they wanted an extra voice on the show. And it was good. It was really good, and I loved it. And when I was on the train on the way back to Nottingham, Christian called me and he said, "How did you feel it went?" And I said, "Oh, I really, really enjoyed it." And he said, "Yeah, we did too." He was so lovely to me. He was really complimentary. And I thought, I've got this fucking job. I'm going to be on Christian O'Connell's breakfast show. And I did not get that job.
Why? What happened?
The way that, when I went down and Clive said, "I want you to come down. I want to chat, a serious chat now." I thought, I've got it. I mean, this is it. This is what I want to do. And he said to me, "Oh, you wouldn't be happy being a sidekick to Christian." And I went, "Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I am absolutely fine. Please let me do this." And he said, no, we want to offer you something, but we want to offer you your own show. And I did not want that. I would rather at that time, I mean, it's worked out fine for me, but at that time, I would have just rather have been on Christian's show. as some giggling buffoon. I was happy to be him to be the star and me to just do shit. I really would. That's what I wanted. And it was quite daunting the other way around. You know, what happened was quite daunting. I got weekend breakfast and I think I did 3 early breakfasts as well. So I guess Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I did Saturday, Sunday, my own weekend breakfast show. So, or weekend mornings, whatever it was. Then it was daunting to do that. It was daunting. I remember at a stage where Clive said to me, "You are a Trent FM presenter who's on Absolute, and we need you to be an Absolute radio presenter who used to work at Trent." Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how. I don't know what to do. My first actual time my voice was heard on Absolute was when Christian was off. My first show was covering for him. Like, fucking hell. Talk about throwing me in the bloody deep end. Yeah, I had to do 2 weeks of actual breakfast, when I'd not done like national radio before. And it was really nerve-wracking, even after all that time and all that stuff that I'd done, because there's a real comfort level, when you're in a duo, there's such a comfort level to the point where you don't really think about it. Like you just know they're going to pick up what you say, and they get what you're going to talk about. And it was a real time for me. But,
I mean, it was the same for Bush when he went to Absolute, of course, having left a long time double act. And we talked about, his time being solo, and he said it was just the hardest work ever. So, I mean, was it the same? Because you do have to change your mindset, the way you present. And for people that don't present, if you're a solo presenter, of which there are some fantastic solo presenters, that's a completely different skill to being in a double act, or in a I'm not going to say zoo because I'll kick myself in the balls, but in a group of, do you know what I mean?
In a zoo.
Zoo crew. But it's just a completely different skill, isn't it? And for you to go from, being in a double act for so many years to then being on your own on a national station.
Yeah, but what actually happened was that when I went to cover for Christian, they put me on with Ben Jones, who was on at the time. And they said, you do that with him. Like, he's going to be there. He's your comfort blanket. And I didn't know him, and I'd never met him. And London, very, very different. Really different. Like, I remember a guy saying to me when I moved to London, you got to be a diva now. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, you're in London. You got to make demands. I was like, I don't want to. I just want to work hard. I just want to be cool and have fun. And there's a real different attitude. They're really different. So it was like fucking deer in the headlights shit. And I didn't know Ben, and he was lovely, but I didn't know him, and I didn't know the producers. I didn't know anybody. Now I think as I'm older and as I've got like way more experience now, I think I would handle that so much different. I think it would be a real different prospect if I did it now. But I did it, so it was great. It was great. And working at Absolute was one of the best years of my life. It was awesome.
I want to talk about Paul Sylvester as well, because you mentioned Clive Dickens. So was Clive the boss? He left, then Paul Sylvester came in?
Paul was my producer.
Right,
so
okay.
Not when we did the first covering Christians. I had Christian's producer, Brian, at the time, and Rocky, who was there. But Paul Sylvester was my weekend producer.
Right, okay.
So we did that show together, and we had a good time. Like, we had such a good time. And Christian had been doing it for ages, so he couldn't be asked to interview the Hollywood stars at all the junkets, so we just grabbed them. So during the week, we were off to hotel rooms, interviewing Harry Potter stars, and it was mad. It was a mad year. I was only there for a year, but it was a mad year. And Paul Sylvester was my producer, and we got on. I mean, he's my best friend now. Like, we're best friends still. We still go on holiday together, and I'm going to be there for New Year and all of that. Like, we're best mates, and it was a real meeting of the minds. We just had one of the greatest years, and his career has gone crazy mad since then, which I feel responsible for. So,
of course, well, it's all down to you.
He can thank me. Yeah,
it's all down to you, Joe. I don't know if you can remember when I was coming towards the end of. They'd already booted Giuliano, and I was coming towards my time at let's call it BRMB. or free, pains me to say. And I got in touch with Paul and said, can we have a chat? And he said, because he's a lovely person. So I rang you. I said, Joe, I'm going to go and talk to Paul. I mean, what the fuck do I say to him? I would love to work at a station like Absolute. And he was genuinely lovely. We went for a coffee, but he pretty much gave me the directions back to the train station.
Oh, you know God, I mean? Did he?
But he was lovely. But I mean, you think of him really highly, don't you, in the industry of what he did for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really do. And like I say, we just became best friends because we had the same interests. We just liked the same things. He just looked after me. He looked after me while I was in London. And, for me to think that, like that year that I went to Absolute, my grandma died and my dad died. Wow. And I still think of that year as one of the best years of my life.
Yeah. Because
that's how much being down there meant to me. Like being in London meant everything. And where they were at Golden Square, I used to get a car pick me up where I lived and take me into work. And every single day when the car drove down towards Piccadilly, down Regent Street, it took my breath away. Like it did not disappoint once. Because I'd built up to this moment my whole life. And it's all I wanted to do. So there was a real freaking pressure on this thing for it to be good for me. And it was. It never didn't let me down once. And, and when it came to an end, and I did not know it was coming to an end, I thought I was going to be re-signed because 2 weeks before they told me that I wasn't having my contract renewed, they were asking me to go to do some stuff for a month with the troops in Iraq. And we want you to do it. They were so sweet to me. We want you to do it because you will be able to do it with a bit of humour and empathy and all that good stuff. And they were booking me in to do that. And so I had no clue that I was being let go. And then when I was being let go, the way that they did it, which I was not used to, was so good that it almost felt like the right thing. Like really? Clive Dickens said to me, look, we are going in another direction. You've been great and we're going in another direction and blah, blah, blah. All these, they were, getting a few more famous people on and all that stuff. And he said, but you need to celebrate your time here. He said, your last show should be like what did he say? Your last show should be like the end of Friends. Like of the series of Friends. It should be that celebratory and that good. And, don't go out with a whimper. You need to be proud of it. And he's a good boss. Clive was a great boss. Because for me to be let go and still adore him and the way that he was just like, I was being treated like an adult. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's a really good boss. And he let me go and I still love him. So, that's how good a boss he was.
So I'm just the question is that voodoo doll behind you with the pins in the head, that is not Clive.
It's not Clive. It's someone though.
All right. So next move is when you and I get into a relationship, of course, when you go to BRMB. How did that happen?
I needed a job. And so I spoke to David Lloyd, who I'd known for many years because he's a Nottingham guy and I of course knew him from when we were at Trent, and he said, we got this opportunity, will you come to Birmingham? And so it was as simple as that. Like I just was out of a job at the right time that they needed somebody. So I took that on and I was thrilled really because moving from London to Birmingham didn't seem like a bad move. Yeah. Like I was still living in a city, which I was then really used to, and it still felt exciting. So, it was a good next move from London, that's for sure.
Of course, Juliana and I came in to do Drive, and you doing Breakfast, the Joe Show with Dino.
Yes.
And it's funny to talk about this because some people listening to this podcast will have been pre-Orion Media. And some like yourself and we were part of BRMB because of Orion Media. And from, I don't know how you felt, but at the time I was so excited by the whole thing.
Yeah, me too.
Do you remember? Yeah.
I do. I remember because it just felt like we were going to take over the world.
It did.
That's how it felt. And I loved those days. And it felt like Orion Media was big enough to make some moves, but small enough where we could affect it, if that makes sense. Like it really
absolutely.
felt like, and it felt like we were, I mean, I had a few rocky, first month or so when like before, I'm obviously with Sparky now and he came a bit later on. But when I first got there were a lot of people there who did not want change and certainly did not want me around. And so there was a lot of evil looks. But, ho-hum, you get on with it, don't you? And so, it was a bit tricky, but eventually it felt like a real team where we just wanted to win. And, I loved it for that. Birmingham's a great city to work in.
Do you know, the thing is, though, is that I feel that I pussyfoot around that subject a bit with people that were pre-Orion. I just go, it must have been awful. But actually, for me, I never dreamt of ever getting on a station like BRMB, so that was an achievement in itself. To work with Giuliano, who I loved, that was even better. And then I was just really excited. And then you were working there, and Robin Banks, of course, they brought in Tim Shaw. I mean, and some people that were there previous. There were some incredible people there, and it was funny, wasn't it? Because I don't think it's really talked about is that I was kind of we were bouncing around our side going, go Orion. And then you've got the people behind the cupboard going, who are them tosspots? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I remember going to, it was welcome drinks when Dino and I first started. So we go to Lloyd's Bar, welcome drinks. And I mean, I won't name names, but there were two women who absolutely just stared me down all night, and it did not make me feel welcome at all. Right. It was horrible. And it was like, they just didn't want change. They thought it was all shit. And it was all going to be shit. And, I'm like, whatever, we're all adults. Come on, let's get on with it. Let's have a drink.
And have it. Can I just say a side note to talking to Joe now? If you ever have the opportunity of having a glass of wine with Joe, do it. It's a lot of fun.
But buy it. Obviously, buy me one.
You got your $5 million, Joe. You don't need anyone buying you a glass of wine.
I'm so excited by that. I can't even tell you.
All right. So, obviously, you go to BRMB to do breakfast. You then come off breakfast, which gives me the biggest opportunity of my career. So, thank you for that.
It's a pleasure.
But you go to drive.
Yes.
And then you eventually team up with Sparky.
Yeah, Sparky came up from Portsmouth.
He did?
He came up and we found Sparky on an awards tape.
I thought you were going to say a dating website then.
We found him. We were on Tinder. We both swiped each other. No, we found Sparky on an awards tape. David Lloyd found him. And he was the sidekick on the show that he was on, but the awards tape was him. So we were like, oh yeah, this guy can tell stories. So we got him up, and he was, he'd never moved out of his hometown before. This is a young boy, and like he's married with 2 kids now. So it's weird me talking about these days, but yeah, he was this young lad, like full of stories, full of joy and dreams. And we essentially interviewed him in the Picture and Piano, talking of booze.
Did you?
Yeah, we went and he got the train up. So we just went and had a drink. I'm a real big believer in just have a drink with someone and your relationship and your friendship will be 10 times better immediately.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, we went and had a drink and we just got him to tell loads of stories, and he did. And so they said, will you come up again and demo? And so we came in on a weekend and, yeah, we did a demo as live and, yeah, and we got on well. I mean, we've had our rocky patches, Sparky and I, where we did not like each other for a while. And it's worked out because now, we are the best of friends, and I'm glad we stuck it out because there were some rocky patches because we are like polar opposites in terms of we meet in the middle and we do make each other laugh, which is why it's always been okay. But yeah, in terms of our lifestyle and attitude to life, we are polar opposites. But yeah, I'm really glad we stuck it out.
He is a nice lad though, Sparky, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a twat at times, but I mean, he's... and he would say the same about me, so it's fine. Yeah, he is. He's great. He's great. And he's, I mean, you wouldn't recognise him now. He's got 2 kids and he's married, and yeah, he's a different beast. But yeah, it's been a dad has made him. And so we have a completely flipped different show now that he's a dad. So yeah, it's been quite a privilege really to have been on that journey to see him grow up. Like I've stayed the freaking same pisses me off when people come up to me now and go, oh, they're stood there, right, with 3 kids, like, 12, 10 and 8. And they go, oh, I used to listen to you when I was at school. I was like, fuck off. My life hasn't changed. How on earth can you have done that? And look at you. You listen to me at school. Your whole life's gone. You've got 3 kids. We're like, what the fuck have I done? Still here, still doing the same. But yeah, to see Sparky go through that whole journey and now be a dad is it's been really nice.
Of course, you go on to do Free Radio Black Country Shropshire Breakfast with Sparky, and then you move on to Gem. It says here 2016. Oh, that was to do Saturday mornings. Then 2017, you go to Gem to do breakfast. Mm-hmm. What was that? Because you're going back home. How did that feel?
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, it's a different beast because I'm back in Nottingham. That's where the studios are, but we cover Leicester and Derby as well. So Derby may have remembered me from Ram FM days, but that feels like a lifetime ago. Leicester could not have cared less about me. But yeah, it was nice to come back home. And I didn't live in the city. I moved outside of the city, so it felt like it was different because I always lived close to the city before. So I didn't want it to feel like my old life. I wanted it to feel different. But yeah, I mean, Twiggy and I still get talked about all the time here. Like Sparky has to put up with a lot.
I bet he does, yeah.
He has to put up with, oh, how's Twiggy all the time, and getting called Twiggy every now and again. And so yeah, he puts up with that. But he's met a Nottingham girl and got settled down, and she used to listen to me when she was at school. So that's, again, great compliment. Never say it.
It's horrible.
But yeah, it did feel a bit like coming home. It did feel nice. Yeah, and it was the right time for me to do it as well. I don't think I could have done it before then. I don't think I would have been ready to face the beast of Nottingham before. But yeah, it's felt nice coming back.
And because of course, Gem's now gone to DAB.
Yes.
So it's come off FM onto DAB. I mean,
yes.
How has that affected the show at all? Or have people...
We don't know yet, if I'm honest, because it only came off a couple of months ago, so we've not really had any figures to say that it's affected it at all. It was a tough sell to the listeners, because they don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, people just turn their bloody car on and they go, oh, that's Gem, it's fine. So it's been a bit of a tough sell, but only time will tell whether it's worked. But, that's unfortunately the nature of the Ken Bruce beast, because what's happened is Greatest Hits Radio has taken our FM in the East Midlands so that they can sell advertising more. That's essentially what it is, because of Ken, and that's absolutely fine. That's their decision. And I do some shifts on Greatest Hits Radio every now and again. So in a way, I'm still there.
So the future for you, Joe, is Greatest Hits.
If you're listening now, bosses, you've heard how hard I work. Happy to double up. You know me. But the truth is that as I get older, I need to be on an older brand, and I don't want to stop doing it. And I love doing Greatest Hits. And that, again, has been a real learning curve for me because it's a solo show. It's me. There's no producer around that I can chat to, or there's nobody else I can put on apart from the listeners. And so that has been a really great learning curve. But they kind of leave me to it and are very wonderful to me and complimentary, and I'm enjoying doing it as a different challenge now. It's far more relaxing than doing a breakfast show every day, that's for sure. And it's the music I grew up with, so it's just a joy to do. It's a real joy to do.
Any regrets?
I don't think there are any regrets, because I've not had a job offer that I've turned down or anything like that. I guess the only thing that still upsets me is the Christian O'Connell debacle. But it has all worked out fine. I'm crazy happy. So I don't think I have any regrets, no.
Oh, yeah. I ask our guests every single episode, who's the one person that you would like to hear on Crunch and Roll?
Well, can I only pick one?
Well, Joe, I mean, look, I love you, so you can pick as many as you want.
Thank you. So Johnny Vaughan, one, do it. Richard Bacon, 2. Do it. Lisa Tarbuck, 3. Do it. And if I don't mention Sparky, he'll fucking freak out. So Sparky.
You've forgotten Twiggy. He hasn't died since we hit record,
God.
has he?
Have you not had Twiggy on? Sorry, I obviously assumed you'd have had him on before me. What I meant to say was, and Twiggy.
Now, Joe, thank you so much for being on Crunch and Roll. It's been lovely to see you, even albeit over camera. But I didn't know half of this, so it's been genuinely fascinating. So thank you very much for your time and being on this episode.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Have you done voiceover work before?
I'm a bit shit at voiceovers, and I don't really get voiceover work. But remember Paul Kay? Were you around in the Paul Kay days?
Yeah, I love Paul Kay.
Okay, so Paul Kay was our boss, and he moved to Canada. And when he moved there, he asked me to do some voiceovers for Virgin Radio for free.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So I was like the voice of one of his frickin' station competitions. And then like 6 months later, he was like, oh, do you want to do me some more? And I was like, yeah, do you want to pay me? And I've never heard from him since. And that is not a joke. Paul is listening to this. I have never heard from him since I said, hello, would you like to pay me for voiceovers? Turns out he didn't like to pay me for voiceovers. So that's so, yeah.
You'll be pleased to know that PK does listen to these. So
shout out PK. And also, if you are listening to this, PK, remember the hat incident. That's
okay.
that.
We'll leave that.
Let's leave that there.
Well, Joe, genuinely, thank you so much. Can you please take us away with the end credits?
You've been listening to Crunch and Roll with me, Joe Russell. Subscribe on your favourite podcast app to get every new episode as soon as they drop. Crunch and Roll is a 969 media production presented by John Fox and produced by Simon Borowski. Oh, yeah. You pay me for that voiceover, yeah?
PK, send me the cash.